Today's very important topic we are going to discuss, that is basic accounting knowledge and basic GST knowledge. Most of accountants are forgetting the basics. I am now taking more than 1,000 of accountant interviews. They are forgetting the basics. When they come for interview, we are asking them questions. What is the sales entry? What is the purchase entry? They forget the basic knowledge. In life, you should not forget your basic knowledge if you want to become a successful in any field. You should not forget the basics, because your basic foundation should be very strong to become a successful in your life. Like in account also, you cannot forget the fundamental of your accounting. Today we are brush up your basic knowledge with a brief discussions. Day 4, basic accounting and taxation knowledge. Accounting rules. There are 3 golden rules in accounting: personal accounts, real account, and nominal accounts. In personal account, debit the receiver and credit the giver. To whom we are making the payments, we have to debit them. Means if you are purchasing any material from your supplier, when you are making the payment, you debit your supplier. The same way, credit the giver. Whenever your amount received from your debtors, you have to credit them. Real accounts, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. For example, if you are receiving withdrawing cash from your bank, you always debit to the cash and credit to bank. In the same way, if you are depositing cash in your bank, you have to debit the bank and credit the cash. In case of nominal account, debit all expenses and losses and credit all income and gains. जब भी अकाउंट्स में एक्सपेंसेस आ जाता है, we have to debit all expenses, debit and income will be credit. So we understand these all 3 principles, then whole accounts cover in this 3 principle only. Modern approach, if you are doing the asset entries, you debit the assets, asset balance will be increased. If you credit the assets, asset balance will be decreased. It means you are selling the assets. आपने जब asset purchase करेंगे, तब आपका डेबिट होगा assets, तो आपका assets increase होगा. जब आप asset आप सेल करेंगे, तो आप उसको क्रेडिट करेंगे, तो आपका asset value. In same case, liability में जैसे आपने आपका क्रेडिट किया तो आपका लायबिलिटी इंक्रीज होगा, डेबिट किया तो आपका लायबिलिटी कम होगा. Revenue, in case of revenue also same thing. If you are credited your revenues, the revenue will be increased. If you are debited revenue, your revenue will be decreased. In case of expenses, expenses को डेबिट किया तो वो इंक्रीज होता है, क्रेडिट किया तो एक्सपेंसेस कम होता है. सेम इक्विटी मीन्स कैपिटल अकाउंट्स. In case of private limited, it is equity. In case of others, it is a capital accounts. When you credited, your balance will be increased. When you are debited, your capital and equity balance will be decreased. As an accountant and entrepreneurs, we need to check the following. जैसे आपने सेल्स का एंट्री करेंगे, आपको सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ये देखना है जो सेल्स इनवॉइस है वो सीक्वेंसली अकाउंटिंग हो रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है. जब अकाउंटिंग आप कर रहे तो आप पहले ये देखना है पार्टी को बरोबर उसका एंट्री हुआ क्या नहीं. वही पार्टी को जो सेल किया उनको अपने एंट्री उसको डाल दिया, और जो भी मटेरियल परचेज आपने सेल कर रहे हैं उसका भी बरोबर आपने क्वांटिटेटिव डिटेल्स दिया, HSN कोड SSC कोड आपने प्रॉपर उसको डाला, और अमाउंट और रेट ऑफ जो GST है वो भी आपने प्रॉपर उनसे कलेक्ट किया क्या नहीं. आप उसका इनवॉइस में बनाते टाइम आपको ध्यान देना है. एज ए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स आपको ये चेक करना है एवरी मंथ मेरा सेल्स कितना हुआ और अपना पैसे कस्टमर से कितना आना रह गया. वो एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का जवाबदारी है, तो वो देखना बहुत जरूरी है. दिस एंटरप्रेन्योर्स responsibility to check how much his sales is increased every month to month and whether all sales are recorded properly. If you are having any some credit notes भी आपने एज ए अकाउंटेंट प्रॉपर इशू किया हुआ क्या, उसको बुक्स में प्रॉपर एंट्री किया क्या नहीं क्रेडिट नोट्स इन टाइम पे, अदरवाइज आपका लाइबिलिटी इंक्रीज हो जाता है. उसके लिए बी केयरफुल. इन केस ऑफ सेल्स वी हैव टू चेक ऑल दीज थिंग्स. जैसे परचेज का है, परचेज का भी आपको सब जो भी अपना इनवॉइस आता है तो आपको प्रॉपर बुक्स में एंट्री करना पड़ेगा. नहीं हुआ तो आपको आईटीसी का क्रेडिट नहीं मिलने वाला है. प्लीज म्यूट योर वीडियो. उसके लिए जब भी आपका परचेज बिल आता है एज ए अकाउंटेंट आपको प्रॉपर उसका अकाउंटिंग करके लेना बहुत जरूरी है. नहीं तो आपका 2A में भी उसको साथ में कंपैरिजन करना भी जरूरी है. अभी एज पर न्यू रूल्स आपको जो क्लेम लेना है आईटीसी का वो आप एज पर 2A ही लेना पड़ेगा. मैक्सिमम आपका 10% आप उससे ज़्यादा ले सकते हैं. उसके लिए आप एवरी मंथ आपको क्या करना है, परचेज का सब बिल पूरा बुक करना है. उसके साथ में आपको 2A और बुक्स का आपको कंपैरिजन करना है. सपोज उसका डिफरेंस मोर देन 10% है तो आपको जो भी सप्लायर आपका GSTR1 नहीं भरा, आपका 2A में नहीं दिख रहा है तो आपको वो उनको इन्फॉर्म करके वो करके लेना पड़ेगा. नहीं तो आपको GST अलॉन्ग विथ इंटरेस्ट पे करना पड़ेगा. जैसे बैंक में एज ए अकाउंटेंट आपको रिकंसाइल करना बहुत जरूरी है. एवरी मंथ टू मंथ आपका रिकंसिलेशन होना चाहिए. और कौन सा भी चेक मोर देन 3 मंथ्स का है उसको रिवर्स भी करना है. एज ए ओनर आपको ये देखना है किसी का चेक आपने रिवर्स हुआ क्या, मीन्स कुछ चेक बाउंस हुआ क्या, कुछ चेक आपने प्रेजेंट किया बट वो क्लियर नहीं हुआ, ये आपको रिकंसिलेशन में दिखता है. एज ए ओनर यू हैव टू चेक योर रिकंसिलेशन एवरी मंथ, कुछ रिवर्स एंट्री चेक करने के लिए. इफ इट इज मोर देन 3 मंथ्स यू हैव टू रिवर्स दैट एंट्री. इन केस ऑफ कैश, कैश में एज ए अकाउंटेंट आपको ये भी सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ये देखना है आपका जो भी कैश पेमेंट है वो 10,000 से ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए पर डे. अब जो भी कैश पेमेंट करेंगे उसके लिए प्रॉपर वाउचर्स बनाना बहुत जरूरी है. इफ योर कैश एक्सपेंसेस इज मोर देन 5,000 यू हैव टू affix the revenue stamp and take the signature of the receivers. कैश एक्सपेंसेस आपका नेगेटिव नहीं होना चाहिए. नेगेटिव मीन्स आपके पास कैश नहीं है बट आप किधर से आपका ओनर्स कैश दिया, नहीं तो किधर से बाकी इधर से कुछ कैश आया तो उसका एंट्री अपने प्रॉपर बुक्स में एंट्री करके लेना बहुत जरूरी है. नहीं तो कैश वो नेगेटिव होता है. कैश नेगेटिव कैश इज नॉट अलाउड इन बुक्स ऑफ योर अकाउंट्स. नेक्स्ट आया डेप्रिसिएशन. डेप्रिसिएशन आपको प्रॉपर एंट्री करके लेना बहुत जरूरी है. बहुत सारे अकाउंटेंट लोगों को डेप्रिसिएशन एंट्री आता नहीं है बट आपने इसको अंडरस्टैंड करके उसका रेट ऑफ डेप्रिसिएशन क्या रहते, कंप्यूटर के कुछ अलग रहते, मशीनरी के लिए अलग रहते, एडिशनल डेप्रिसिएशन मशीनरी के ऊपर भी अपने को क्लेम करना कर सकते हैं हम लोग. उसके लिए उसका एंट्री प्रॉपर करके लेना एज ए अकाउंटेंट आपका वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस बहुत सारे अकाउंटेंट लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता है. सपोज आपने कुछ व्हीकल का इंश्योरेंस पे किया एट द मंथ ऑफ अक्टूबर में, आपने 1 अक्टूबर को अपने इंश्योरेंस पेमेंट किया, उसका कैसे पूरा एक साल भर का रहते. 1 अक्टूबर 1 से 31 मार्च तक जो भी इंश्योरेंस रहते, सपोज इन केस ऑफ योर इंश्योरेंस इज 10,000, आपको 5,000 इस ईयर में लेना है, 5,000 आपको नेक्स्ट ईयर में उसको लेना है. उसके लिए 5,000 आपको प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस में डालना है. 5,000 एक्सपेंसेस बोल के करंट ईयर में आपको उसको एक्सपेंसेस में ट्रीट करना है. नेक्स्ट ईयर में वापस उसको आपने रिवर्स एंट्री कर सकते हैं, प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस को ट्रांसफर करना. बहुत सारे अकाउंटेंट लोग इसमें ध्यान नहीं देता है, प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस को भी एक्सपेंसेस में डालता है. एज ए अकाउंटेंट यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ प्रॉपर बाइफर्केशन ऑफ प्रीपेड एक्सपेंसेस. ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट रेशियोज आपको ये भी देखना है. ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट रेशियोज में कुछ वेरिएशन है क्या, ये ओनर का, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का एक रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. यू हैव टू चेक योर जीपी रेशियोज एंड एनपी रेशियोज. ऐसे जीपी एंड एनपी रेशियो में ज़्यादा वेरिएशंस नहीं होना चाहिए. लास्ट ईयर आपका जीपी रेशियो है 22%, इस ईयर में आपका सपोज जीपी रेशियो 20% हुआ तो यू फाइंड द रीजंस. ये 22% क्यों अपना कम हुआ, उसका रीजंस आपको एनालिसिस करने से वो मिल जाता है. एज ए ओनर यू हैव टू चेक योर जीपी रेशियोज एंड एनपी रेशियो प्रॉपरली. आपका एनपी रेशियो ज़्यादा बढ़ गए तो भी आप देख लीजिए वेदर प्रॉपर सब बिल का जो एक्सपेंसेस का एंट्री है वो किया क्या नहीं है. और आप सपोज प्रॉफिट आपका ज़्यादा हुआ तो भी आपको चेक करना, कम हुआ तो आपको कंपैरिजन करना है. उसमें आपको प्रॉपर जेन्युइन रीजंस फाइंड आउट करना है. नेट प्रॉफिट हुआ तो कुछ ज़्यादा हुआ तो आपको कुछ बिल मिसिंग हुआ रहते, वो बिल प्रॉपर आपको एंट्री करके लेना है. ये हो गया अपना एंटरप्रेन्योर्स और अकाउंटेंट का जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज रहते रिलेटेड. नाउ यू गो टू बेसिक टैक्सेशन नॉलेज. जीएसटी Can you give anyone when the our GST is implemented in our India? You can chart in your chart box when GST is implemented in our India. Anyone give the answer? अभी GST implement होके 3-4 साल हुआ, but when it is started GST? Good, correct. On 1st July 2017, our GST is implemented in our India. And which is the country first implemented the GST? Can anyone give the answer? First country which implemented the GST. Anyone out of the 28 countries first implemented the GST? Yes. France is the first country. France country, the first country which implemented the GST. After that, more than 160 countries implemented the GST. Value added tax levied on most goods and ये जो GST है, please mute your disturbance. There is a background disturbance. GST is a value added tax levied on most goods and services sold for domestic consumption. GST is by consumers, but it is remitted to the government by the business selling the goods and services. The end user bearing the GST, but collected by the seller of the goods and services. This is a GST. After implementation of GST, there are many taxes, more than 17 taxes abolished after the implementation of the GST. In case of central excise duty, additional duties, excise duty levied under Medicines and Toilet Preparation Act, additional duties of CVD and SAD, service tax, surcharges and cesses. In case of central, all these taxes are abolished and merged with the GST Act. In case of state, VAT, CST, purchase tax, entertainment tax, luxury tax, and entry tax, taxes on lotteries, gambling and betting. So these all taxes are merged with the GST Act. Now it is only one GST. There are total, all these taxes are merged with only GST Act. GST, कौन सा अभी भी still there are some product there are no GST is levied. Alcohol for human consumptions, there is no any GST Act. This is under state, still it is under state control. Petroleum products also not cover the GST. Tobacco also not cover under the GST. Entertainment tax levied by local bodies. These also power to tax remains with the states. All these taxes are not merged with the GST Act, but still it is under the power of the states. Who is covered under the scope of the GST Act? Compulsory registration to every person who supply goods value exceeding 40 lakhs in a financial year. Suppose आपका turnover for a goods is more than 40 lakhs, आपको compulsory GST registrations लेना जरूरी है. In case of services, it is 20 lakh rupees. Most of you are confused because my turnover is below 40 lakhs. I am not going to register, but there are bifurcations of the conditions. If your turnover for goods is 40 lakhs, below 40 lakhs, there is no need to take the GST registration. If your turnover is in case of service, the conditions is only 20 lakhs, not the 40 lakhs rupees. Any person making interstate taxable supply of goods, if you are selling goods to some other state, then it is mandatory to take the GST registrations. Every e-commerce operator, every person who supply goods and services other than branded services through e-commerce, it is mandatory to take the GST registration. Aggregator who supplies services under their own brand name, it is mandatory to take the GST registrations. Casual taxable persons and non-resident taxable persons also have to take the registrations. Casual means, suppose if Deepavali is coming near, if Rajasthan people is coming to the Maharashtra and they started Fataka Mart in Maharashtra. They temporarily they are stay in Maharashtra for 1 month for selling of their patakas. In that case, they have to take the registrations in Maharashtra state for selling their products. In case of previously, there is no in other old act it is not. This is the conditions. But in case of GST, if any other state peoples coming for doing the business, they have to take temporary number for as a casual tax payable persons. This is very important provisions. Person who required to deduct the TDS and TCS also have to take the GST registrations. Suppose government, local authority, PMC, PWD, they are deducting some TDS on their contractor bills. For that purpose, the PWD and PMC have to take the GST number. Input service distributor also have to take the GST registrations. Means if you are having more than more than branches, many branches in other states, you have to take the ISD. You have to distribute. If you are having one central company and you are having more than business in other state also, you have to take the IST because this input will be distributed for other state also. You have to take as a ISD registered dealer holder. Person required to pay tax under reverse charge. Person who want to do the RCM also have to take the GST registrations. Person supplying the goods on behalf of the other taxable person. If you are working as an agent, you have to take the GST registrations. In case of agriculture product, GST is not applicable. There is no need to take, if you are dealing in agriculture product, no need to take the GST registrations. If you are providing any exemption services, there is no need to take the GST registrations. If you are exporting the goods, in that case, you have to take the GST registrations along with letter of undertaking. If you don't want to pay the tax, if you are exporting goods without payment of the taxes. GST registration conditions. At the intrastate level and at the interstate levels, if you are selling any goods to other state, we already discussed these points. In case of GST, there are totally, if you are selling goods within the state, we are charging CGST and SGST. If you are selling goods to other states, suppose if you are selling Maharashtra to other state, we have to charge IGST, not CGST and SGST. If you are importing any goods from other country, then that is treated as a IGST sales. You have to take the benefit of the IGST. Export shall be zero rated. If you want to export the goods along with the LUT, there is no any GST, but you have to take the letter of undertaking. Supply to SEZ also, it is treated as an export. There is no any taxation, so you have to take the zero rated. But in this case also, LUT is very important. How to set up of work in case of GST? GST में कैसे आपका सेटअप आप ले सकते हैं? सपोज आपका IGST परचेज है, आप सिर्फ IGST, CGST एंड SGST तीनों का आपने एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं. IGST का, if you are purchasing any goods from other states, you are getting the IGST benefit. In that case, you have to adjust your IGST with CGST and SGST both, and IGST also. But in case of CGST, you can adjust only IGST and CGST. In case of SGST, IGST and SGST. Means there is no any inter setup of CGST and SGST. IGST can adjust with CGST and SGST as well as CGST can be adjusted with IGST and CGST as well as SGST, SGST you can adjust. Along with that, IGST also you can adjust. CGST you cannot adjust with SGST and SGST cannot adjust with CGST. There is no any inter setup of CGST and SGST. Composition scheme. In case of GST, for small and medium enterprises, it's very beneficial. In case of VAT and service tax, there are only limit of 10 lakh rupees. If your turnover is more than 10 lakh rupees, you have to collect the VAT and pay to the government. Even service tax also, only 10 lakh is the limit. But in case of composition scheme, you can have the turnover limit up to 1.5 crores. You can take the registration as a composition dealer. If you are doing a trading activity, you only pay the 1% of your turnover till up to 1.5 crores. It is very good in a GST for a small and medium businessman. He can got the composition scheme of only paying 1%. If you are a manufacturer, for them also there is a composition scheme. You only pay the 1%, 0.5% CGST and 0.5% SGST. If you're in case of your food and restaurant, if you're going for a hotel, they are charging you 5%. Previously, they are charging you 18% and 18% and 12%, but now they are charging only 5% as a composition dealer, and they cannot get the input tax benefits. If they are purchasing any material, then that case they cannot take the input tax benefits. Only their 1% that will be paid to the government. You have to, before adopting your composition scheme, you have to make the analysis whether if your material purchase is more, then you don't go for the composition scheme because you are losing that ITC credit. So if you are, according to your nature of business, you have to analyze whether our purchase input is more. In that case, you adopt for the regular scheme. If you are adopting the composition scheme, you cannot get the benefit of ITC. So that be careful while selecting the composition scheme, because if you select the once composition scheme, you cannot end of the financial year how to follow that method only. So be careful while selecting the composition scheme. In case of service provider also, they are given composition scheme, but the rate is only the rate is 6% instead of others 1% and 5%. For service provider, those who are 18% in normal case, for composition scheme, they only pay 6%, and but in this case also they cannot get the benefit of ITC. Any queries related to accounting and GST, you can unmute yourself and you ask the questions.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, Madhu, please.
One of my client is having a petroleum dealer, means LPG, auto gas, and petroleums.
Okay.
Petrol, diesel, and auto gas, LPG.
Okay.
Whether LPG gas also exempted from tax? Is it comes under petroleum product?
State only, sir. It is under state.
It comes under exemption, right, sir?
Not exemption, sir. Their tax is under state act.
Sorry?
Under state act, sir. They are collecting VAT and regular this tax.
Means we have to pay tax for that LPG gas, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm clear, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any queries, please?
Sir, I have one query.
Yeah.
Say, actually, we have done an invoicing in the month of June.
Okay.
But due to some reason, we got one debit note from the customer.
Okay.
So that debit value can be adjusted with the GST amount.
Yes, you issue the credit notes.
Okay.
And you can reduce your next month liability.
Okay, but the credit debit note is issued in the month of September 2020, and the invoice is raised in July. Sorry, June.
Yes, or not?
In the month of
Yes.
in 20 only, no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, you can claim. You can claim the benefit of credit notes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
We have another 5 minutes. Please, if you have any queries relating to GST. Otherwise, we will close the session. Quote of the day: education is the best friend, and educated person is respected everywhere. Education beats the beauty and youth. So, please mute yourself. If you have any queries relating to this, otherwise, we will meet tomorrow at same time on investment. It's very important session. Investment is needed for everyone, because even layman can thinking nowadays to how to investment, because how to use investment in long term, short term, and for the retirement benefits. There are a lot of things we have to think before investing in the market and mutual funds, LICs. There are a lot of things no one is thinking. Somewhere they're going to emotional in investments. It is not advisable. Before investing, you always take the advice of your proper professional people that will help to you. So tomorrow is the session on investments, and if you have any queries related to relating to GST, you can mail us, or you can send the message in groups. We are allowing for up to 9 for your queries. So we will meet tomorrow at the same time with the subject investments. Thank you for joining everyone, and we'll meet again. Thank you so much.
Sir, I have one more question. Can I ask now?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, please.
Can we claim GST input based on invoice?
No, sir. As per 2A, now they are changed. No? You claim as per 2A,
Okay.
minimum 10%. You compare it to your books
Okay.
of account and 2A.
Okay.
So if you are having input credit 1 lakh rupees in our books, and only 50,000 in your 2A in that month,
okay,
you can claim only 55,000 rupees. Not
okay, only 10% is allowed. 10% variation is allowed.
Previously it is 20%.
Okay.
But now they are changed only 10%. But it is very loss, and how to calculations is very difficult for the even professional as well as client also, because it is very difficult to track how we keep the 10%, 20%, or whatever they are allowed. But it is
Okay.
very cumbersome procedures how they calculated. Even they don't know how to calculate this system. But it is very difficult. They should allow as per books first, and because what happens, some dealers are filing their GSTR1 in quarterly, some they are filing in monthly. That is not reflected in monthly 2A, because some dealers are filing their GSTR1 in quarterly month. It is
then
very
how to handle that?
Yeah, it's very practical, difficult to make the calculation. So it may be there is some writ petition someone filed that will get the benefit of that in future, because in most of them the cases they are taking as per book only. Otherwise the working capital will be lost by the businessman. Any queries? We have another 5 minutes. Sir, breaking your voice.
Sir.
Sir,
how about input on capital asset?
sir.
Input on capital assets.
Yeah, you can claim, sir, if it is directly relevant with your business, no?
Okay. 100%?
100% you can claim, because in excise only 50% allowed, but in GST it is 100% allowed. But only there are some negative lists like factory shed and vehicle. If you purchase the car for your personal purpose, there is it is not allowed. But you cannot claim the depreciation on that.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, can I have a question?
Yeah, please.
Sir, we are paying our vendors and all those complete invoice value. But if they are not paying GST in time, in that case, what we should do?
Sir, you take legal action, because most of the company they are started taking action, because in even VAT also there are a lot of litigations, because dealer they paid to the supplier, but they not paid after 4 years. The notice issued by the purchaser, they are not paid, and that is also recovered from the purchaser, because there is a double loss to the purchaser. But in
But sir, in that case, sorry.
Yeah.
In that case, are we liable to pay that tax also?
Yes, sir. It is a loss to both sides, because because in that department people, what they are saying, you choose the wise suppliers, because it is also already discussion in Twitter, the ministries and all secretary of our GST department, because they don't know the practical difficulty what the businessmen are facing. They are saying you choose the right suppliers, those who are properly filing the GSTR one and properly paying the taxes, because there are, you can check online everything. If your supplier is not paid the GST, is not paid the 3B, you can check immediately and you can take the action, and otherwise you hold the payment. Otherwise you have to pay in future with interest. In that, the most of the dealers suffer due to this reason. After 4 years they paid more, double of that amount. The same rule also implemented in GST also.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Any queries? We have another 2 minutes. Otherwise, we'll meet tomorrow. It's very interesting sessions. This is very helpful for everyone, because last week I go to my native place. My driver, Mr. Sandeep, he's asked, sir, what is the best investment planning? Please tell me. I am already investing in mutual fund every month, 500, 1,000 rupees. To tell me what is the benefit of this all the investment. Though everyone should start investing at the early stage. When you are earning, the first year should be first month salary should be start at least 20% of your salary should be invest. Early startup investment is very beneficial for your futures. So tomorrow is very interesting session, because nowadays the saving, even the IT peoples and other people, they are earning lakhs of rupees per month, but end of the month they are facing the problems because they have no any saving, because expenditure is very high. Previously, our parents, first they are saving. If you want to buy the homes and you want to do any other activities, first they are saving, then they are spending. But in new generation, first they are spending and they are saving by taking the loans of 90%, 80% of the cost. It is very difficult for them. They are working only for the whole life for the bank, not for themselves. This is the nowadays situation. And if you go any market wrong like this situation, it is very tough for them, because even taking loan also very risky, and making an organization investment also very risky part. So be wise as a businessman investing. Not only businessman, even if you are a salary holder, investment in various portfolio is very important. You make your investment in diversified manner. Tomorrow is very interesting how to we are make the investment, what steps we have to take. We'll meet in the same time tomorrow, and tomorrow is our last session of the 5th day, and we every week we are taking on Thursday, because most of the MIDC, my clients are from Bosri MIDC, so decided to take Thursday, every Thursday, and Saturday for other clients, those who are having Saturday, Sunday IT company